Welcome back, cousins. I told you I was coming back. I always come back, always. I'm in this kitchen making me some coffee, and it's about 3:30. So now I can put a little cream in my coffee because you know I started the intermittent fasting and I did my exercise also. It about killed me. I did one with aerobics. Oh, it killed me. But anyway, I did it for my 30 minutes. And one thing too I want to say in this video before we get started is I talked about you having homework with exercise and everything. So remember, always go to a doctor first to make sure that you can exercise or even change up your diet. And I should have said that before. But as my coffee is finishing here, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about baby boomers, which is me. We're going to talk about Generation X, which is one of my sons, and Generation Y. And it's just always excited me about different generations, especially the women now that's about between 24 and 44, how they're really in their active time of their lives, and I say the best time of your lives, but it's going to go by so fast. But I'm going to go make my cup of coffee, and then we're going to get back to talking about the generations and the differences and the same, since we pushed out most of you, have you at birth, so I will be back. Well, I am back. I'm back. I got my cup of coffee, and I hope you got you something to drink here too. But it's a real dreary day today. It's been dark all day. Alexa told me that it wasn't going to rain, but it rained a little, and it's about 4 o'clock. And I wanted to come to you today because it's something I've been really wanting to do, and that was about the different generations. That just has been on my mind for years, really, and really not paying attention. But again, I am Betty Gathers, and you know what I'm going to say? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, because that does help me grow. So whoever watched this video, thumbs up, and also follow me on Instagram. I am Betty J Gathers. Okay, so we know what I'm going to say now. Let's go. Okay, what I'm going to talk about is generation baby boomers, which is me, and we're getting a lot older. We were that I call us the mini skirt generation, headstrong, hard heads, but we had soft behinds, I could tell you that. And then I'm going to talk about Generation X, which one of my sons, because he was born in 78, so for some reason they change up the years on there. They're definite about us baby boomers, but some kind of way they got years all mixed up, because then my son could either be, that son could either be an X or he could be a Y. And then I have a son that's definitely a Y, a millennial. He was born in 83. And then when I was subtracting the age, because you're going to notice, moms, as you get older, you're going to start forgetting them ages. And I was like, my baby son's going to be 39 this year. I'm like, I cannot believe that. And my oldest is going to be 44. My goodness, where have time gone? I had my first child at 22 and the second one at 27, I believe, because they're 4 years apart, but at some point they're 5 years apart. So I had one teenager at a time. God bless me, I tell you, because those teens, they can be a killer. And you know, another thing I didn't realize, because I didn't pay attention, that really we're parents of the millennials, the ones we always talk about or we always hear people talk about. But you don't hear that much about Generation X. It's like they're sandwiched in between, and it's like they remember the baby boomers And they remember those millennials, those Ys, okay? And for some reason, I guess they're like the middle child. You know, everybody, you're there, but then everybody forgets you. But what I want to talk about is also women that's between, I would say, 24 to 44 have always interested me. I think because that is when you really become, especially around 27, you start coming into your own and you start really feeling like a woman. And they even say that your brain, the decision-making part is the last thing to mature in your brain. With that being the last maturing part of your brain, I guess that's why we make all those mistakes in our 20s. And we get smart in our 30s, or we should have. But what I kind of want to do is compare a little bit between the generations. And I can't do it really with the girls, but I can do it with the boys because that's what I raised. So you'll know what kind of husbands you got and how they were raised. Okay, when I grew up, we played outside a lot. And we played close to home. And as we got older, we kind of roamed off farther. And the X did the same things and the Y. They played close to home. When they got bigger, they kind of, you know, went farther away from home, but they were still in the neighborhood. So we still kind of stayed the same that way. Sleeping arrangements, I would say. Me and my sister, we slept in the same bed, same room. My sons, they slept in the same room, but separate beds. And that's normally what kids do now. They don't use a share bed unless they want to sleep together. Also, I had chores. And my boys also. I didn't really have to do a lot. My older sister did the majority of it. I just had to wash dishes, which I didn't like to do. So what happened is my mom would wake me up in the middle of the night and make me rewash the dishes. So that broke me out that habit real fast. The boys, they washed dishes. They did the yards weekly. They were supposed to clean up their rooms, but that never happened. So I just got tired of it and just started closing the doors. So that was one thing that I did just to save my sanity when they were going through the teenage years. Also, too, what's really neat is I like to talk about this, since we're in this era of the internet, is I grew up with a black and white TV. And it was pretty big. They used to come with the record player attached to it. So they weren't like small TVs. And I had that all my life. We only had 3 channels: ABC, NBC, and CBS. And they even went off. They didn't stay on all night. Somebody reminded me about that. I'm like, oh my goodness. They did. They didn't stay on all night. And the boys, especially my oldest one, he probably won't even remember he had a black and white TV. But then later on, when Brandon came, he was still on my hip. So we got a color TV. And that's the time we got cable. So then we got more channels at that time. The worst mistake that I say that I did about the TV was putting a television in their room. Worst thing, especially for teenagers. And also, they had bedtimes. And I notice now with this generation that a lot of times the kids get to stay up whenever and how long they want until they fall asleep. That could be all your free time. Can you imagine the free time if your kids had a bedtime at 8 or 9 o'clock and you got the rest of the night to rest before you go to work or before you do the house chores the next day? And that's what I noticed. It's a major difference with setting up bedtimes. And I know some people do it, but I know a lot of kids do not have a bedtime. And then we always had the corded phone. Remember I said in one of my videos where we had party lines, and I had forgot about that. Then we got private lines. We still had the corded phones. When my children were born, we still had the corded phones, and they had the corded phones all their life, well, not all their life, but the teen lives. And then the pager came along. And my youngest son had a pager, but for not that long because he lost it. They never had mobile phones. And I don't know, even if they could have had them at that time, I don't think they would have had them. I don't think that would have been, I just don't think that is something they would have had through the teen years at that time. And then the Nintendo came along. That kind of changed the ball too for them, the Nintendo games. My boys used to play them all the time. So the Nintendo game was a precursor to this internet world. So once the internet hit, the world just absorbed it right away. I even, I bought, it was a Hewlett Packard. It was the big old monitor that went on the desk, and then it had that tower that went underneath the computer desk that was tall. And I really enjoyed it. I did. I spent hours on it, and that was a game changer. But we didn't spend the hour, even the boys, they didn't seem to have like a really interest at that time. But I know now, the millennials and the younger ones, that is their total life. They either got the phone in their hand. That's why I say if you call a millennial and they don't pick up, it's because they don't want to pick up. Because they live by those phones. They're on social media all day. They're on Twitter. They're on everything 24 hours a day. I don't know how parents even get them to do anything anymore. And I even know about discipline, of course, it's a lot different. I said since Dr. Spock came along, and if you don't know Dr. Spock, you need to read about him. I notice a lot of times, and I hope I'm not sinking myself in the water, is parents say that kids can debate. And usually what I notice when kids debate with their parents, the kids seem to always win. It's just my analogy of it on it, and that's the things that I see. So that's a major difference in that. Another thing too was we had more home cooked meals than people do now. People are cooking a lot more because that money's getting tighter. Because even with me, just with my family being so small, and when I get groceries now, the price just keeps like it's going up each week. And then I take the calculator now to see if they're adding it right, which is crazy. Groceries have really gotten higher. And a lot of people definitely going to have to start cooking and learning those skills that they do not know. But when I was growing up, we ate a lot of home cooked meals. We never really ate out that much. Yes, we had a barbecue joint. We had a hot dog joint. But we always ate home the majority of the time. My boys did have a lot of home cooked meals. However, the older they got, teenagers, they did become, I call it the fast food generation, where you can't live without fast food for sure. Then I want to talk about the jobs a little bit. Okay, baby boomers. We stayed on our jobs forever. 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Probably almost died on the job there. And we just stuck with one company. We had that loyalty. I don't know if they truly had loyalty to us, but we waited for those pensions. And then of course they kind of cut the pensions out. Now they got the 401k plan. But now the millennials, and I would say a little of the X's, they will hop from job to job. They usually don't stay on jobs longer than 5 years. to me, which isn't a bad thing, honestly, because of many a days I wished I would have left the job that I had for 15 years. But I always say, if you do, always have a plan. But just let me tell you, each generation is different. I'm pretty sure my mom was more stern on me than I was with my kids, and her mom vice versa. But we all love our kids no matter what. We want the best for our kids. We really do. But I'm going to end this with Josie Corner. I went to her live the other day, and she had millennial women in there. And I never really said anything, but I just thought it was like a group of us baby boomers when we were their age, talking about them not having enough help around the house. You know what? That sounds just like my generation. And honestly, we're not any different. I tell anybody, we're just, the world changes. Nothing ever remains the same. And that's just the way it is. Because millennials, your kids are getting older, and they're going to tell you the same thing you told us. You just old. Okay, but anyway, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, about those differences in generations, because I just said there isn't much difference. Of course, the internet is just broadcasted where you can see it more, and you can see it right at that moment. And that's why I even say how they'll say that millennials have, like, they feel entitled. And like my son said, they're just impatient and they're not going to take anything. And it's because they were born into this computer age. So everything is fast, fast, fast. And they're just not used to anything slow. So their patience, they have none. Customer service, they have none. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. But again, I am Betty J. Gathers, daughter of Jean Grey. And don't forget, hit that thumbs up button, because it helps me grow. And you come on back, come on back. And the ones that I have hit that subscribe button, hit it. Because my channel is beginning to grow. So I know y'all just lurking around and y'all coming back. And guess what? I will see you again. And let's go.